How are we doing? And we're live. I
Yeah.
believe. Hello.
Hello.
Hi guys. It's me, Rich.C. We've got Steve down below, and off to the side here is Gary, or rather Gary's hands tonight.
Yeah,
How you
brush it.
doing, Gary? What's it like there?
Hot, very hot, and hot again.
Yeah.
I mean, an Edwardian slate roof.
Well,
Brilliant.
he's beavering away there. How are you doing, Steve?
It's hot here as well. I'm upstairs, so it's yeah. I feel like an extra from the Chernobyl TV series at the moment.
That bit when they're up on the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, a bit on the warm side. So
Yeah.
I think one thing we're going to crack on with tonight was talking about doing some woodwork and strips of wood. So shall we have a look at what Gary's doing there? Gary, can you shout out what you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, well, I noticed there were a couple of questions about wood and getting it neat and tidy, or just looking like wood, really, which I always think is amusing because it's MDF, which is wood. And then there was somebody asking about light wood as well.
That'd be Andrew and Stuart, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not too sure what they mean by light wood, or whether that means pine or new wood. But so I'm sort of doing an indoor-outdoor job where I've got the back walls as the outdoor, and then the floor is an indoor, which would be a bit lighter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really shouldn't have put that in super glue the other day.
That doesn't brush is any good there, Gary. So I've been practicing a little bit. I don't think we'll be able to see too well from mine, but been putting just some lines on the wood. Just used a light cork colour, and then added on a bit of a desert yellow over the top, just to get the lines. And then I've used one of our brush pens that we keep talking about. It was a burnt sienna, just to
It's water-based though, Rich.
What's that?
Is that a water-based one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's one of the Winsor & Newton brush marker, that one.
Brilliant.
Just to create those shadows and define the line.
Cool.
With a bit of a highlight of what was I going to use? One of the Army Painter skeleton bone, just on the edge, just above the shadow.
Right.
So that's all I was experimenting with at the moment. What are you doing?
Well, I've got, as I said, dark and light on the go. Dark can be fairly simple, but not. So all I've done there is I've thrown on what they call olive brown or khaki brown.
Yeah.
Just as a base. And then I'm going to use an ochre. And what you're probably guessing now, and if you've read the book and stuff, is I'm not particularly precious about the type of paint I use or what the name of the paint is called, but I am looking for what the color of the paint is. So you can see I'm just dry brushing, taking off the excess, and then literally bit by bit, all I'm going to do is lighten that up. And all that is doing is just giving a mixed look to the floor. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, and then I'm going to keep going, almost using the paint you're on about. I've got some a bone, or bush tabby bone,
Yes, yeah.
or magnolia as I call it.
Magnolia, yeah. And depends on how light you want to go, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's strange enough, being MDF, you don't really need to do a lot other than perhaps the shadow and the highlight. You could leave.
No, I mean, I've been working on something I can't show you because it's a new product, and actually I've let the MDF come through as a base of that. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to start lightening up from the middle of the panel, because I want to keep a bit of shadow to the panels. And it always looks rough as nails as you go. It does get tidier. You can see all I'm doing again is keeping the brush in contact with the board, but not not pressing hard. That's why I'm taking all the excess of the paint off first.
So you take that right off and then bring the lighter shade just enough.
Yeah, it literally is shade by shade. It doesn't take too long. And as you get used to working this way, you'll start knowing when to leave a bit more on the brush.
Yeah. Fantastic.
You see how working out from the middle to the corners and to the edges, you get it just blends in.
Yeah. So
sorry, Rich, carry on.
I'm just showing what I've done there. We'll get it a bit closer. You can see the arrow. That's what I'm envisaging, the light coming down and hitting the edge of the planking.
Yeah.
And then, so you've got the lighter shades there, and then the brown underneath. Now, I've used quite a thing, burnt sienna. It's quite a dark colour.
Yeah.
So it really stands out as though it's a deep shadow.
Well, that's where, if it's water-based, you get the brush out, you wet the brush, and then you feather the actual ink. There you go. That's the ishtabi going on. And that's now starting to look very much like a newly cut wood floor.
We can take some pictures of these bits at the end, can't we, and stick them up.
Add them on, at the end.
Just add them on at the end and close-ups.
Yeah.
At some point.
So that is pretty quick.
And you haven't waited for anything to dry. You've just been doing that while we.
That's right. I'm working. I mean, these are model paints. I do use a lot of acrylic, artist acrylic as well, and that dries in a quick way, but it's quite tacky sometimes, which means you can actually merge layers together. I'm going to stop at that point on there because this is like the walkway, and I'm testing the brushes. My brushes are starting to die, which is quite a sad moment, really.
You've trained them for the last few months, and then
So all I'm going to do now is went past Jewson's yard yesterday, and the new timber that has been sat out in the sun had started to silver.
Yeah.
The some wood will actually go the opposite. It'll actually darken down. So that's what I'm doing there. And so you can see the two light wood, silvered wood. You could leave it there. Quite often, what's happening now is I quite like adding a bit more to it. I suppose I better put the lids on. Look like I know what I'm doing. I'm going to just shade in just some of the edges. Just adds a little bit of like saw marks, a bit of life to it.
That's just the pencil work, isn't it? Just on the...
Yeah. And you can, if you go over it, you can soften that off. It'll take any excess. This is a wax crayon, not a watercolor one.
Yeah.
I just find it's got a harsher color to it. And then if you wanted to add a little bit of a silver feel to it, this is green. You can see how it's going silver.
Yeah.
Just adds it as if it's been sawn wood. It's sawn timber. So that's sort of like quite a new building, very quick, and that is as quick as it gets.
Fantastic. So what I've been doing is just using the buildings I showed earlier. Just a garden colour, just a grey.
Yeah.
Looks really dark there. It's quite a light grey. When you find a building, so I've got, say, an old brush, got a bit of wood. Yeah, that's the base for one of the bits that I'm going to be working on. I'm doing pretty much the same thing, just brushing straight on there, and just spreading it around, to be honest. But because it's a garden-based paint, it's quite see-through.
Okay, yeah.
I can put it on in patches there.
Yeah.
And as it dries, it leaves a lovely sort of sheen, a lovely finish to it. letting the MDF just come through just a bit more.
Yeah.
And then I can work with just normal paints and pens straight on the top of that.
Yeah.
So straight onto the bare MDF, no worries about that. So it's, in actual fact, just whilst we were talking, I think it's dried quite a bit there. Add a bit more on. But that's all I've done for all my Western buildings.
Cool. It is. The one thing is that you'll find your way of working.
Yeah.
And people treat MDF as an alien substance, which it isn't. It's around us all the time. So, just plow into it. Most of it's manufactured. I was hearing somebody talking about something to do with MDF the other day.
Yeah.
And they were saying how it is made and what it's made of. It's wood. It's 100%. Well, not 100%. He lies. It's 90%, 99% wood, and the resin that's added to the process is derived from wood. The only additive that they put in, apart from when it's a fire retardant or water retardant one, is wax.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And you should know, how long have you been doing furniture and other
working with MDF? 20 years.
That many? Was that Steve?
my microphone broke up.
One thing I do with these is I try and paint the actual in the lines. So I will try and add. See.
Okay.
So I use because I'm using planks here, I'll just follow the plank lines.
Yeah.
But I won't add more paint to the brush. So if I've got a single plank, I'll just use one brush stroke on that plank. And then I'll start from where a join line is to do the mixed stroke.
Yeah. I do that a lot with the doors and the window frames and the shutters on the European buildings.
Yeah.
It's just a nice, it's a caricature way of painting. It's a bit of a cartoon. I love that way of doing it. So that I've lightened that up. Now it's gone dark base because, well, that's what I'm trying to achieve. Some woods do that. I'm going to do what Rich did. I'm going to use brush marker or brush pens. I'm just going to catch the base of a timber. I'm using quite a light pen, unlike Rich.
Yeah.
What you can do is, if you're shaky, it's a bit hot, so today I've not really eaten enough. Use a ruler and draw it. It's a lot quicker, a lot more precise, but it does mean you get a lot down. So, any other questions we got, Rich, about anything else, or?
Oh, I haven't looked. Hang on. Weathering wood. So I think. Now what this would be? We've got an excellent example. Can we show them, Steve? The dowel. We'll bring those pictures up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary, what I'm going to do is just show people the rather lovely woodwork you've done on the dowel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now that's used a sort of a crackle, hasn't it? A crackle effect where it's been in the sea, the paint started to peel away. Yeah.
That's the crackle medium we went through. We talked about and showed a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's perfect for the back end of the dowel. A bit of paintwork.
Yeah, people should be able to see there. We'll put these pictures up, and I believe Steve might be able to tell us something about the dowel soon. We'll be able to show them more of those pictures, I hope, very, very soon. But hopefully they can see there's quite a lovely effect, as though the paint's just lifting away on the edges, not all over the place. So if you were to use something like, the Agrax Earth, the Earth Crackle paint from Games Workshop, that might be a little bit too much. Oh, thank you very much, Gary.
Okay.
Whereas the paint you've been using, the Artist Stucco there, that has a much broader break, if you like, in the actual paint work.
Yeah. Right, that gave me a good chance for the brush pen to dry as well.
Excellent.
So that's the shadow that I've got on that one. Yeah.
Excellent. So you've got the shadows in. That's
then all I've done
really helps
wet a brush, and to soften it off, all I'm going to do is actually thin it. Now the thing with the watercolor pens is you can go and have a cup of tea and come back, and if they're on a solid base, they will liven back up all the time. So unlike
you can't
washes,
do it on bare, so much bare or barely painted MDF, because they will just won't they?
They will stain it, but it is actually a good thing that to make a note that as much as that is the case, it will still thin down.
Yes, it will. Yes,
because of the wax coat on most of the MDF we use hasn't been sanded on the surface. It's got that sheen to it.
Yeah.
And that is actually the wax resin sitting on the surface. It's not the result of the laser cutting. It's actually part of the MDF manufacturing process. There's a little wax coat on the surface, and that helps repel minimally, or should I say, stop the paint disappearing. Which, as you noticed, none of this paint has disappeared. So all of that is done is softened off those edges.
Yeah.
And then you can see it's quite a dark wood. It's like those in the Western films, you see where it's a pitch pine. It's funny because my roof's made of pitch pine, 1908. So that's softened those off. Give that a couple of seconds to dry in this heat, won't take long. And then where Rich has used a paintbrush and drawn his lines, I'm actually going to cheat and use the yellow crayon.
Yes.
It is so much easier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm just doing circles with the brush pen. So all I've done is use that grey just now, and I'm just using that one, an Ecoline brush pen. Just gone round it to create the shadow on the inside of the. I think this is the water tower that I've got to do for the Western.
Yeah. So that's just you just putting a highlight onto the other edge of the plank there now, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the bottom edge of the plank where the light would hit it.
Yeah.
I'm doing quite straight lines, but if you want to break it up, just as you go, release the pressure of the pencil, and you can get a different you get pulse lines, and that adds that sort of warped look. Yeah. I quite often, what you see when draftsmen are turning their pencils, it's often to keep the nib even, and it sort of changes the pressure. And as I said with the floor, this is, it looks quite harsh when you first do it. If you can see it softens off, you're just taking all the loose, can you see that on my finger? That's all just the loose wax on the crayon.
Right, so I need to get myself some crayons next.
A couple of Caran d'Ache, there's some really nice ones out at the moment. They brought some new ones, water-based ones out last year.
Yeah.
And then there it is. I'm using this is a 2B, but I use a 6B sometimes. I'm going to do it the other way around.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a really dark shadow. Now, if you imagine this was a lighter wood, you're really saying it's a harsh sun.
I'm just going to say, Adam was kind enough. We were talking about Barbary Pirates last week, and Adam sent me a link to some. We found some, so thanks for that.
All right.
Get that, yeah. But Gary had a brainwave as well about making a bit of scratch building on some, didn't you?
Yeah, I've.
So we've got some War Games Atlantic Afghans, they're new Afghans, and also some Gripping Beast.
Oh, yeah, one of them's just hit the floor.
All right, and we're going to do a bit of kit bash in there and make some pirates of our own. So
yeah, so they're all like double sworded up. It's Hollywood. No, it's reality thing.
Hollywood pirates.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea. That's how quick that is. So you've already got the floor down, and again you could add on a little bit of hatching.
I was saying as well, if we go back to when we did the paint all the minis, that convention weekend, we kind of covered this because we did an Old West building.
That we did, didn't we?
Over the weekend. So there is actually longer videos going over a lot more as well to do with the wood. If people go back, so we can reshare those. And
there you go. Basically, light wood, dark wood.
Yeah,
John. Hey, fantastic. So I'm just going to
another little thing about highlights. Sorry, Rich.
I'm beavering away with this, but you say you got something about highlights there.
Edge highlights. Just drag the pencil along the edge. Literally.
Yeah.
Highlights on your window frames. There you go.
So, John, cool. There you go. Fantastic. Well, hopefully, I'm cooking in here. That's covered a bit more on the wood effects. Steve, is there anything we can say about the Dow at the moment?
Yeah, we'll stick it in the newsletter this weekend. Yeah, and I think the newsletter's quite a lot of boats in it, isn't it? It's a bit
nautical.
Yeah.
That's lovely, Gary. Have you done some sales, Gary?
I did do some sales. I took them off for photographs.
Thank you.
They are done in part of the instructions of the sales.
Yeah.
Great. So they're going to be with the sales. Sorry.
Yeah, you just print them out and trim them up.
Yeah.
Some paper. Yeah. So they're in the instructions.
Or even use them as a guide to make their own version of sale.
Yeah. You could just use the outline and colour them up yourself if you wanted to do something a different colour. So that's there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, everybody, I think we're probably cooking. Gary's looking redder than a beetroot.
Steve, I'm trying to work out what colour of red that is he's facing.
Yeah. I think Steve's going to flow out with the sweat up downstairs, and I can't stand it in this shed much longer. So I think we're probably going to have to call it a night. So thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, and we'll say goodnight to everybody for now, and we'll see you all next Thursday. But watch out this weekend for a very nautical flavoured newsletter. And
if you've got any questions for us next week,
yeah,
drop them into us somewhere, and we'll cover as much as we can.
And I do believe we'll have to cover the transfers that we've talked about in the book a bit, and in the past about the rubber ones or transfers. If we can look at that, perhaps.
Yeah, we can try.
We'll see whether you're still in one piece after the.
You've not melted.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.